Well. Minnesota tried an experiment. Ilhan Omar and Tim Walz spent years turning the state into a massively subsidized social project, importing a culture they refused to assimilate, protecting the community they refused to hold accountable. And now, the bill just landed.
A lot of people haven't been leaving their home for work or making a living. So it's very unfortunate and very sad.
I feel like it's sad to see everyone inside right now. This is very empty for this area, especially this place to be this quiet, nobody walking around, I think is insane.
Sarah, we went to Karmel Mall. That's really the heart of the Somali community here in Minneapolis. It is normally bustling. There are people everywhere as these shop owners, try to make a living here in America. And it was virtually empty. Most of the people that we spoke with were people who work there. And that was pretty jarring for the people who know that that is normally a very vibrant place. The city says that they are doing everything they can to try to protect citizens. For
a lot of people haven't been leaving their home for work or making a living.
Now, that's not diversity. That's not vibrancy, right? That's what it looks like when a city is run like a sanctuary experiment instead of a state. Businesses empty, families hiding, citizens scared in their own mall because leadership protected illegal activity for political gain. Walz and Ilhan invited this dynamic in. And now everyone who did follow the law is paying for it. But while the streets clear out, the activists, they come out swinging, telling you this is their country now. Watch this press conference.
We call this press conference because over the last few days, we have seen a sharp rise in threats, harassments, and openly hostile rhetoric directed specifically at the Somali American Minnesotan community here in the great state of Minnesota. Words like garbage being used by the President of the United States to describe immigrants, specifically Somali immigrants, are not political drama. This language has consequences, travels into our classrooms, our mosques, our workplaces, and our neighborhoods. It creates fear, it emboldens extremists, and it puts real people in danger.
Somali American community being targeted in this manner is dangerous. We have already received from different people threats online. We also know that there are some form of agent provocateurs that are planning to come here. So this is a moment for Minnesotans to step up, not to be silent, to speak up, to share your frustration, to share your support for the Somali American community, to talk about the best things about our state and their relationship to the Somali American community, but also our other immigrant communities that are parcel of our state. We are not backing down. We're not afraid. And most importantly, for most Somalis, we're citizens. We're not going anywhere. This is our home, this is our country, and we're going to do everything possible to ensure that we fight for inclusion, just like many others in this country have fought.
Now, you see, I don't care if you're Somali American, Black American, white, Hispanic, or Trump, which is orange American. I don't care. But if you're a citizen, cool, no issue. But this isn't about citizens. This is about a Democrat machine using community outrage as a shield to avoid accountability. Meanwhile, illegal immigrants, they hide. ICE does their job, and suddenly the same politicians who created this mess pretend that they're the victims. Let's talk about who actually enabled this, all right? Let's go and get into it, right? Because when you press Tim Walz, even a little, look how fast he snaps. Guilty men don't react, guilty men don't react calmly. Watch there.
Well-being first and foremost.
Governor, on last press a few days ago, you said that you take responsibility for putting people in jail, but all the fraud so far has been federal prosecutions. Why did you say,
They prosecute.
Why did you erroneously say that you would?
I didn't erroneously say that. We're the ones that our agencies are bringing it up. We're referring them over. This is how this works. We were through it through the BCA. This is Drew Evans and the superintendent of BCA. These are Minnesota folks who work in state government, who are the ones that are helping build the case, turn it over to the federal authorities. So that is totally false. That is totally wrong. It is Minnesotans. It is Minnesota's investigators. It is the IGs that are over there, Investigator Clark, that are doing the things of putting people in jail.
Well, then why aren't there state prosecutions?
the federal laws, that they're choosing to do federal prosecutions. We will prosecute on every single thing we can. Many cases we get longer ones. Is your assertion is that we don't have anything to do with the investigations? That is totally false. We're the ones who brought it to them. We're the ones who alerted the FBI. We're the ones. We turn these cases over every day. Drug cases, human trafficking cases. We would prosecute them. What I can tell you is I am deeply concerned now that they are being federally prosecuted because just yesterday, the president commuted and pardoned a sentence of a fraudster who took billions and billions of dollars, who served 12 days and was sentenced by an American jury to 45 years. So I am concerned that he releases the fraudsters because they're on federal. If they don't want to prosecute it, we will certainly take them. But this is normal how this works. So my statement is, we are prosecuting and helping put people in jail who are committing fraud in Minnesota, and nothing will change on that.
You hear that, Panic? That defensiveness? Walz knows exactly what he did. Minnesota didn't just have a fraud case. It had the biggest child nutrition fraud scheme in American history. Over $1 billion evaporated through Somali-run nonprofits while the state looked the other way. Why? DI threats, politics, fear of being called racist. So they let thieves run wild while citizens watch their tax dollars disappear. And now Walz stands, they're pounding his chest. Gotta work, mama. But he's standing there pounding his chest like he broke the story. You know what I'm saying? He enabled it. Don't take my word for it. Listen to how Black Americans are responding. Democrats always swear Black voters will never leave. Well, watch this.
Ilhan Omar, or whatever the heck her name is, I don't know, I don't care. She's the very definition of overplaying your hand. She really thought she was gonna come over here and just rob Americans blind, and we was never gonna find out. Like, how did they really Captain Phillips an entire city? And that guy, Walz, who was gonna be Kamala Harris's VP, yeah, your girl, that y'all love so much to be defending to the ground, he stood there and co-signed these Somalian citizens robbing Americans blind. And that's why I will never be a Democrat, ever again. Like, there's not enough money in the world to make me a Democrat. Anyway, they're gonna try and drag Black Americans into their shit, talking about civil rights and, baby, you created this problem for Somalians and Somalians only. You had no intention of helping us, so you're on your own. Have fun. Ilhan Omar, or whatever the heck her name is, I don't know.
Is the sound of a voter who woke up, not because of Trump, not because of Republicans, because the Democrats disrespected her community, lied to her face, and robbed her blind while calling it equality. Ilhan didn't just lose conservatives. She's losing her own coalition, as you can see. And speaking of her coalition, even the Muslim Somali community is done pretending she represents them. Yeah. I want you to watch how they talk about her. I want you to watch how they talk about her now. It's worse than anything Republicans ever said.
What do Muslims here in Minnesota think about Ilhan Omar?
Okay, so you got to understand, this is somebody that uses Islam for a sort of political gain, She advertises as a Muslim, as a Muslim person that's helping the Muslim people in the community that she's representing. But we also see her upholding different views that are in conflict with core Islamic beliefs. Personally, and much of the community here would have that same agreement here.
What is she saying that you guys don't agree with?
Okay, first of all, when it comes to LGBTQ people, we as Muslims don't believe any other person that's not any other person, no matter what they practice, should be held to a lower standard, should be given less respect. But in Islam, there's permissibility and there's not. We gotta keep in mind, you are not allowed to do certain acts, such as same-sex marriage, which she's in support for. You gotta understand, same-sex marriage is incompatible with Islam. No matter how much you twist it, no matter how much you can beautify it, in every way, the final word was sent from God, and that outweighs whatever political opinion that you may have, whatever bias that you may have.
And she justifies same-sex marriage.
That's a big sense of disagreement that we have.
And that right there tells you everything. Ilhan sold out her own community to stay in the good graces of the progressive donor class. She traded her base for rainbow flags and CNN approval ratings. Democrats imported a culture they refused to integrate, then demanded the rest of America bend to it. Now, that same community is calling them the problem. The irony. This is what collapse looked like in real time when politics stopped working. And none of this happened in a vacuum. Me and words. Here's the big picture that set this entire collapse in context.
It should be extremely hard to become an American. It should be the hardest thing around. A lot of the people from these countries just got on probably a first-class ticket, paid for by an NGO and shipped in here. They were brought here without any thought, without any vetting, without any consideration. You know, the ancestors who came here, it was very difficult to do so. It took a lot of work. You're taking your life in your own hands. It is a totally different thing to migrate to a first world country on a first class ticket than to immigrate across an ocean on a wooden ship and to leave your entire life behind and to fully assimilate because, well, quite frankly, it was an assimilation population. It was a European and Christian population that was coming here. It's totally different now today. And you can see here on sort of the archipelago of failed states here, like, why are we taking anyone from any of these countries? You have no right to become an American. Has anybody made the case to the American people? I mean, this is what I'm asking for. I'm open-minded. Has anybody made the case for the American people that someone from Sudan should be allowed here? You know what's allowed in Sudan and Libya? Slavery, modern-day slavery. We fought to destroy that practice in America. Why are we taking modern-day slavers into the country? What are we doing? Sierra Leone is the same thing. Congo? Why are we taking people from these countries? Like there's no, even if you are the biggest far left liberal, there's no definitional explanation that you can provide to me that says these people are going to make, like, this is going to be congruent with Western civilization, because I can see the country. You don't want Sudan to be broken off and added as an American state. You wouldn't want to visit there. So why bring that culture here? It is regressive, actually. It's not progressive, it's regressive. Why don't you go to Sudan and ask about women's rights, children's rights, children being kidnapped, sold as child brides. This is the era, slavery, child brides, and inbreeding. You can go check with the United Nations. Benny, you're such a right-winger. You're so extremist. You're so offensive. Go check with the United Nations, dude, about like where those practices are happening. Just right now, there are 10 million people in modern-day slavery. What is considered slavery by UN definitional standards? Okay, and they're from these countries. So don't tell me that you care about women's rights or, like, I don't know, the lives of children. You don't, clearly. You're for abortion up to the point of birth and afterwards. No, it's totally evil. It's indefensible, and it's time to, like, start talking about it.
This is why the experiment failed. You cannot import a broken system, refuse to assimilate it, bury the fraud, protect the criminals, attack the citizens, and call it progress. Ilhan and Walz's Somali experiment backfired. As you can see, the malls are empty, ICE is rolling. You got boaters walking away. The Muslim community is divided, and the Democrats are losing the very people that they tried to weaponize. America didn't do this to Minnesota. Minnesota leadership did this to Minnesota. And now the truth is just completely unavoidable. When you build policy on DEI instead of reality, when you protect fraud instead of citizens, when you reward criminality instead of accountability, this is the only ending. And now if you're watching this and you're tired of the lies, you're tired of the gaslighting, tired of the politicians who treat your state like a social experiment, go and hit that subscribe button. And if you also made it to the end of this video, in order for me to know that, I want you to write Reality instead of DEI. Yeah, I'm gonna stand on that. Y'all be safe. Please go check on a friend today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.